Kingdom Hearts has been one of my all-time favorite gaming franchises to ever exist. It was literally the first game I ever popped into a PS2 back when I first got one in 2004 after all. So over the years, I've watched how the game's evolved, and I feel like it's my duty to inform all the newcomers to the Kingdom Hearts series on which order to play the games in, since they are now being released on Steam, introducing the franchise to a new install base. I know there are other videos on the subject made by a bunch of preppy teenage girls who were late adopters to the series because they had an older brother with a PS2 growing up and only started playing games after they got a PS4, and they usually say something along the lines of, play Birth by Sleep since it's the first story canonically, play 358 over 2 days immediately after KH1 since it takes place between 1 and 2, skip Recoded since it isn't all that important. They think they know what they're talking about. So I'm here to correct all this misinformation that's being spread around and give y'all the proper order for playing through the Kingdom Hearts franchise. Oh, also, there's going to be some slight spoilers throughout this entire video, because it would be tough to explain why things are in the order I say they're in if I didn't, so that is your warning. And be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and with all that out of the way, let's get started. So, the first game of the series that you want to play is Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. It introduces most of the things that would further develop in Kingdom Hearts 3, like there being a young version of Master Xehanort, because of the existence of time travel, Sora and Riku attempting to become Keyblade Masters by taking up Yen Sid's offer to do the Mark of Mastery exam, the Organization 13 being revealed as a red herring for the true organization, Xigbar being half Xehanort, as well as certain game mechanics like flow motion. You will need to have a good understanding of how this all works if you want to enjoy the other entries in the series. I know it might sound convoluted or a weird choice to do this, but it's really not. Just as long as you memorize those 4 or 5 things about Dream Drop Distance I mentioned previously, it's not as bad as some people make it out to be. The next entry in the franchise, Union Cross, is a spin-off title that gives some proper backstory to the overall lore of the franchise that has absolutely fuck all to do with Kingdom Hearts 1 or 2. But it serves as a bible for the stuff that happens in Kingdom Hearts 3, and you're gonna know it. Also, it's only available for Android and iOS, which is perfect. Anyone who's existed in the last decade has a smartphone, so you have no excuse to not at least pick it up and play through it. But if for some reason you don't, you could always just go through your attic and find some crusty laptop with Windows 8 or whatever, wipe the OS with Ubuntu, and slap Anbox on it in order to play Android apps on your laptop. It's just that easy. Don't watch the stupid-ass cutscene compilation included in the 2.8 HD Final Remix, because the Union Cross mobile game itself has been updated a lot over the years, and you'll be missing out on some important plot points. So after beating those 2 games from start to finish, I ain't saying here's the deal, I'm saying this is the deal. You're gonna need to play Recoded. Why? Well, if you remember, there's one cutscene in Dream Drop Distance where Maleficent mentions the Jiminy's journal that got hacked, which was all a part of her goal from the start. In a lot of ways, Kingdom Hearts Recoded is like the prequel to Dream Drop Distance, but you have to play Dream Drop Distance first, because you could tell the story in Recoded was designed with having the context of Dream Drop Distance in mind. Like, for example, you could totally play through Devil May Cry 3 before playing through Devil May Cry 1, because the events of Devil May Cry 3 take place before Devil May Cry 1, but everyone would just think you're stupid. So just trust me on this one, play through Recoded. It's one of the best Kingdom Hearts games, probably one of the best DS games ever made, and the story for it, along with Dream Drop Distance and Union Cross, will make you prepared for what happens in Kingdom Hearts 3. So the theme of Kingdom Hearts 3's story revolves around the 7 Warriors of Light, fighting the 13 Beings of Darkness, who are all just basically clones of Xehanort, which you now know thanks to the knowledge you got from Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. Oh, another thing this game expands upon are the flow motion mechanics. Not only can you dash around on a whim, but you can now air dive and shot lock yourself across each area, which gives the combat some added depth. I don't want to spoil too much about Kingdom Hearts 3, since it is the latest release in the franchise, but something to keep in mind is that it's not the latest game canonically. Again, if you want to play Devil May Cry 3 before playing Devil May Cry 1, go for it. I'm not going to stop you. But there are some ideas that get lost by playing it that way, and you'll be confused about what's going on, and it will mess with your perception of the story. Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance is the equivalent of Devil May Cry 1, because the main characters of both of those games are more mature, and don't see things from a wisecracky, immature perspective. So you remember Roxas and Xion and their purposes in the story for Kingdom Hearts 3, right? Well, in Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days, you get to experience their origin stories. You see, before the events of Kingdom Hearts 3, Sora was turned into a Heartless, which created an empty shell that became Roxas. Roxas was recruited by Organization 13, which, thanks to our Dream Drop Distance knowledge, we not only know they're fake, but we understand why they're fake. Xion was created from the rib of Roxas that was done as an experiment to see if they could collect more hearts to take over the moon. There's some emotional conflict between them, and eventually it all becomes too much for Xemnas to bear. There's a fight between Riku and Roxas. Roxas loses and gets thrown into a simulation with the help of King Mickey and Ansem the Wise. So just keep those last events of 358 over 2 days in mind. Roxas gets thrown into a simulation because of a fight with Riku, and the help of King Mickey and Ansem the Wise, just remember that. Oh, also before I forget, 358 over 2 days has the best combat and RPG mechanics in the franchise. The panel system allows for so much flexibility that I hope they bring it back for KH4, but I have my doubts. So you remember back in 358 over 2 days where Axel was gone for a week in Castle Oblivion, and some of the organization members died? Well, Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories is the game that explains the events of what happened over there during that time. But this is how you're gonna play it. Do not, and I really want to emphasize this, do not play the remake that got bundled with the 1.5 plus 2.5 HD remix. That version is broken, slights in that game like Sonic Rave are overpowered, and they overcorrect certain things to make it align more with the rest of the franchise, even though they made it worse. Do yourself a favor, skip Chain of Memories and just fire up Chain of Memories on Visual Boy Advance. I also recommend turning on bilinear filtering so that the pixels don't look distorted, and you'll thank me later. After beating Chain of Memories, move on to Birth by Sleep, which will explain the backstory of Terra, Aqua, and Ventus. Now, I know it might have been a little confusing to play Kingdom Hearts 3, and noticing that Ventus looked eerily similar to Roxas, but Birth by Sleep being the prequel to Dream Drop Distance, goes into the lore of how things got really fucked up. If you remember, Ventus was in a coma for Dream Drop Distance and didn't wake up until Kingdom Hearts 3. Birth by Sleep explains how all that happened. Aqua was stuck in the realm of darkness until the events of Kingdom Hearts 3, and Birth by Sleep explains how all that happened too. Terra, who's probably the best character in the whole franchise, ended up getting body snatched by Xehanort, leaving his soul to rot in the suit of armor he wore. So the next entry in the franchise you'll want to play is Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, but with a caveat. You see, during the intro where you play as Roxas, who's in the simulation if you remember correctly, you can do jobs to earn more money. I recommend Cargo Climb, Poster Duty was raw too, so just do that while putting on a podcast for a week. And hop to it, since this is the peak of the franchise. Really make sure you earn enough money too, because you're going to save in the usual spot after fighting Axel and move on to Kingdom Hearts 1 immediately after. I don't remember if you can just walk in after Axel gets frozen. You might need to go into the shopping area near the tram common, but whatever the case, just save after the cutscene once you beat Axel, and move on to Kingdom Hearts 1. Again, you need to have enough money saved up from those cargo climbs and poster duties, because it'll come back to bite you if you don't. Now for the final entry in the Kingdom Hearts franchise, Kingdom Hearts 1. This game explains the origins of Sora as a Keyblade wielder, and the beginning of the conflicts between him and Riku. The gameplay is alright, a bit janky, but it was an early PS2 action game, so you can kinda forgive it. As far as the beginning options go, just pick whatever you want. I mean, I guess if you're a newbie to action RPGs, I strongly recommend picking the sword and dropping the shield, since 90% of what you'll be doing is just mashing the X button over and over again, while occasionally hitting circle to cure yourself. And you're going to need as much strength as possible. Also, if you plan on fighting any of the optional bosses, you're going to want to pick all the first options, for the questions that Tidus, Selphie, and Weka ask you. That way you get more EXP early on. So yeah, that's pretty much the best way to play through the whole Kingdom Hearts series. Don't bother going through the rest of Kingdom Hearts 2, since the story doesn't really explain much or expand upon what you already know from playing Dream Drop Distance, 358 over 2 days, or Kingdom Hearts 3, and the gameplay is just going from hallway arena to hallway arena without any proper exploration. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.